DBG is, very much a TV studio. We're focused on providing, analogous to a terrestrial-based TV studio. We provide our clients opportunities to run their TV commercials and opportunities to sponsor and integrate into our upfront slate of programming. So with the upfront slate of programming, we've got all kinds of shows. We had a show currently called Family vs. Chef, which is sponsored by Infinity. So we took a family and a Food Network star and kind of pitted them, cooking mom's, favorite recipe, seeing who could do it better. So that was fun. We have a show out in market for Sunglass Hut. We have another show out for the U.S. Air Force called Everyday Sci-Fi.
Tell us a little about Control TV, which is getting some good buzz.
It's a reality program that we're doing with Seth Green. And in essence, it gives the internet audience the ability to control every aspect of a young man's life, from who he dates, to what he wears, to who he dumps, et cetera, et cetera. It was a neat premise, and it's something that Seth came to us with probably about 8 months ago. And, we basically what we do with these things is kind of review the creative, package it, go out to the ad sales market, and in the case of Control TV, we are working with our 3 illustrious sponsors, Ford, Sprint, and Snickers, all of which are naturally integrated into the show. So Tristan, our star, drives a Ford Focus. He took people around to the polls yesterday in his Ford Focus. He gets all his commands, directions from the internet audience in terms of his votes from his Sprint phone. So a lot of really natural integration. So that's what we're, pitching and telling the sponsors. And we bring on sponsors that really make sense for the target audience. And I think something sponsors really like is this huge engagement, and that we're incorporating the audience into telling the story. There's a lot of natural integration. On the votes, when people vote, there's a daily vote. We have on average about 45,000 people voting for what should this guy do next. So that's really natural. So effectively, we'll bring on a sponsor, then we'll produce the show. We have an in-house production team. And sometimes we'll produce with external partners, really depends, and then we distribute. And that's really the value of the DBG video network that we've got. I think we're ComScore rated 4. It gives us that reach that enables us to get our programming out. So you mentioned, a TV network. In essence, we're a digital network. We're just like TV, but instead of being terrestrial based, we're digitally based. So we have 2,600 sites, 130 million unique video viewers that we can tap into, and depending on the show and the demographic and where we want to run it, we'll place the show in our player and distribute it out, or we'll give the show to a specific website and say, put this as a featured thumbnail in your player. So between all those views, we're able to get the viewership against the programs. Effectively, what we're doing, I'd say probably about 65% of what we do is distributing advertisers' TV spots. Exactly analogous to an offline television network, but digitally we call it pre-roll. So we're distributing that, and we kind of take the television model one step farther by offering our advertisers what we call smart reach, which is the notion of leveraging data and targeting to really reach the right audience at the right time on the right website. So we do a lot of that for our clients in terms of distributing their TV spots across our network in a smart manner and this smart reach. And we've got a couple of products to kind of take it one step further. And one is what we call the eye opener. And in essence, it's an interactive pre-roll unit. So everything you can do in an in-page display ad in terms of, bells and whistles, hot spotting, send to a friend, all these different capabilities, you can now do in the pre-roll environment with this eye opener product, where it's clickable, users can pause it, click for more videos, all within the video canvas of the website's native player environment. So that's, a big and important, aspect of what we're doing at DBG, because that is the bulk of what our clients do in terms of communicating their marketing message to their consumers. However, that said, in 2010, when we have an extremely empowered consumer, In essence, they can switch you on and off like that as a brand. They can go off to all these elusive websites we've never heard of. So a digital network that's really, poised in delivering audiences as opposed to brand destination websites is really important. And being able to offer branded entertainment or original content and saying to a brand, hey, you're having a hard time connecting with your user, they're too smart for a 30-second spot. What we say to them is, let's provide utilitainment. So let's look at your brand objectives. So beyond just what we have in our slate, we'll say, hey, you don't like anything in our slate? No problem. We will custom create a web show for you that touches your brand experience, objectives, whatnot. So we just did something for Hewlett-Packard this summer for HP called Summer Beats. And it was all about how do we create...
Vegetables?
Yes, vegetables, exactly. No, this was actually Beats, Audio Beats, and they're all about this new, laptop that they've got, which is all about, since, people are listening to music and working with music more and more on their laptops, they've created this computer that's all about the music experience, working with Dr. Dre and et cetera, et cetera. So what we did is we created a music series for them. Original content where we did 3 live performances in Times Square. We had Weezer, Train, One Republic, all bands that we booked through our creative group. We then, distributed the program, produced the program. We, beamed it out on the Jumbotrons at 43rd Street in the NASDAQ and Reuters billboards. We did the first ever, I think, concert live stream up to Facebook, so live up there. And then we extended the life of the program by distributing webisodes across the DBG video network. So it's really, 2010, how do brands engage with their consumers and really cut through the clutter, and one way to do that is original branded content. So it's a nice complement to the pre-roll that we do for them as well.
There's this new world now of mobile consumption, the iPad, the emergence of HTML5. How are you guys adapting to that, and what are the challenges?
It's a great question. In terms of mobile, we launched out a mobile adjunct to our network about 3 weeks ago. Our philosophy is we want to be multi-platform, screen agnostic. So effectively, as the mobile web, becomes bigger and bigger and eventually someday cannibalizes the internet web, the computing web, the PC, Mac web, the mobile web is going to be bigger and bigger. I mean, I travel around all week. I spend a hell of a lot more time on my PDA than I do on my laptop. Certainly that poses challenges. But in terms of this HP program, we ran that on iPhones as well as a mobile component. We try to be 360 with all the programs that we're doing. We put our U.S. Air Force show up on the Xbox Live platform last year in conjunction with their agency. So we're definitely looking at that. However, at the end of the day, right now in 2010, in terms of video, there just isn't the reach and frequency that advertisers are used to in the display environment. You look at PricewaterhouseCoopers, their IAB study that they did. I mean, display advertising online, I think, is up 20-25% over this time last year. So there's been a huge growth. However, with mobile, it makes sense. There is reach for display advertising, but when you're talking about video ads, pre-rolls or branded entertainment, having people view those across our network, we're looking at about 2 million availabilities a month. That's the totality of the inventory. So when you compare that to what DBG is doing, internet-wise in video, it's a it's a nano percent. However, it's growing. It's extremely important. And I think what Steve Jobs, the folks at Apple are doing, are completely revolutionizing, just the way they kind of revolutionized and disrupted the whole music industry. It's amazing what is happening in terms of what they're doing in terms of mobile. So it's interesting, but in terms of video, the reach just isn't there. So it's more sizzle if you will, in our programs than steak. But we do like sizzle. Who doesn't like sizzle?